RWBY is by far one of my all-time favorite shows. From its fast-paced action to the incredible soundtrack and memorable characters, there really isn't a show like it. A show that relies so heavily on adaptation. There are unique, authentic stories told through the medium of 3D animation. RWBY also has a unique place in pop culture, as references to the show become more common in other movies and TV shows. Right from the start, in the Red trailer, a character trailer made in 2012, the lyrics to the song Red Like Roses lay out the core idea for who these characters are. Every single character in this show in some way or another is based on some sort of fairy tale or mythology. Some are more obvious than others, but that's what this whole video is about. Without these stories, the show wouldn't even exist. And I'm gonna prove to everyone watching that this show deserves to have the same praise as any other animated show. But first, context. What exactly is RWBY? RWBY is an animated series created by the late Monty originally for the website Rooster Teeth. It started off as a fun slice of life show about teenagers going to a unique school to learn how to fight monsters. What seems like something fun and upbeat quickly shifts into something more sinister. Everyone is actually being turned into child soldiers who will fight an endless war against the monsters of Grimm. Yes, like the Brothers Grimm. And, like the Brothers Grimm, the gods of this universe are two brothers who created the world with all of its stories. What I'm trying to say is everything is always connected and constantly adapting in RWBY. RWBY is able to go past the limits of the original fairy tales to tell a beautiful story with unique experiences for, well, anyone with a Crunchyroll subscription to enjoy. Not only does RWBY adapt fairy tales, but sometimes they adapt character tropes and archetypes, even recreating iconic moments from other media, like characters always playing a game very similar to Mortal Kombat. There's also a whole set of rules to creating characters in the universe. Not only do they have to have some sort of connection to adapted media, but they also have to follow a specific rule for color and design. The show follows our main cast, or team, Team RWBY, made up of Ruby Rose, Weiss Schnee, Blake Belladonna, and Yang Xiaolong. These four, along with a massive cast of characters, all live in the world of Remnant, where the moon is shattered into pieces, and everyone is born with a power called a semblance. Ruby Rose, who you could say is the protagonist of the show, is quite obviously based on Little Red Riding Hood. From her iconic red hood and cloak, to her massive scythe gun, yes, everything is a gun, RWBY is the youngest of the group and a child prodigy. Though, unlike the tale of Little Red, she isn't delivering cookies to her grandmother. Rather, she's got silver eyes and is destined to save the world, or something. Next up is Weiss Schnee, heiress to the Schnee Dust Company, and her character is based on Snow White. Even her butler, Klein, is pretty much all seven dwarves mashed up into one character. Weiss's song Mirror Mirror is quite obviously calling out the original line from Snow White, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" Though in Weiss's song, the lyrics are a bit more depressing. Blake Belladonna is an interesting one. In the song Red Like Roses, she's referred to as Black the Beast descends from shadows. So she's based on Beauty and the Beast, right? But which character? There can be arguments made for Belle or the Beast. Personally, I believe Blake refers to the Beast. You see, Blake is actually a faunus, a species of human-animal hybrids. In universe, faunus are subjugated and treated unfairly. One of her early character arcs is all about deciding if she accepts herself as a faunus or hides her identity. Through the help of Team RWBY, she's able to find a way to accept herself. Last, but certainly not least, my favorite character, Yang Xiaolong. Now, fun fact, but Yang and RWBY are actually sisters. What, you didn't see the resemblance? Okay, they're half-sisters. Same dad, different moms. Now officially, Yang is based on Goldilocks. That can be seen, sort of, in her character design, but I call BS. I think Yang is the other half of the Beauty and the Beast illusion, mainly because she's referred to as Yellow Beauty Burns Gold, and also because Blake and Yang are a thing. Yay! And they do kill Adam, Blake's awful ex-boyfriend who is way too similar to Gaston. Now, there's many characters in RWBY. So many. You can kind of figure out who's who based on context clues in character design and their names. The secondary cast, Team Juniper, is a little bit different from Team RWBY. These characters are all based on gender-bent versions of mythological figures, while Team RWBY is all based on fairy tale characters. Joan Arc is based on Joan of Arc from Christianity. Nora Valkyrie is based on Thor from Norse mythology. Pyr Nikos is based on Achilles from Greek mythology. And Liren is based on Mulan from Chinese mythology. These mythological figures are reincarnated in 3D animation and get a new life brought into them. Wow, how many characters are in this show again? RWBY is also known to adapt classic novels as well. One of the most well-known is Pinocchio. Penny is one of the most interesting side characters, who managed to die twice. She was also created by her father to be the protector of the city of Atlas, one of the cities in Remnant. There's a unique circumstance around her creation. Pietro has to sacrifice some of his own soul to give her life. Penny does get to come alive and become human, although for a brief moment. Unlike the original story, Penny doesn't really get turned into a donkey or sent to an island. She just gets cut in half and stabbed. There is a giant whale that swallows some of the cast. Great character development there. And why did I decide to talk about RWBY characters and their illusions? This is gonna take forever! The next big aspect of adaptation within RWBY is in the music. I've hinted at the song Red Like Roses a few times, but what about the rest of the soundtracks? RWBY has my favorite type of soundtrack. Music about characters and events. But the music itself doesn't exist in universe. Rather, it's used in episodes to add a layer of reflection to the events occurring. And, on top of that, the music will reference the original fairy tales. The elasticity of this show is incredible. There's so many songs that showcase this extremely well. The best example is the song The Truth from RWBY Volume 8. This song is about one of the main antagonists of the show, Cinderfall. Her character is a whole other adaptation we can unpack some other time. All you really need to know is that she's based on Cinderella. Her whole song is a reference to the Cinderella fairy tale. Now, this song and character could be seen as bastardization of the Cinderella story, since it is essentially what happens when Cinderella decides to have no mercy and gets back at her awful stepmother and stepsisters and straight up starts killing people. It's a great song to let you sympathize for a villain, especially when it plays over her backstory flashback. Paratextuality is crucial here. RWBY's music is one of the main things people come to recognize about the show. Not only that, the people who've worked on this soundtrack have been there since day one, so just over a decade now. The original composer Jeff Williams and his daughter Casey Lee Williams have created an iconic sound for the show. From the insane guitar riffs and solos to Casey's incredible vocal range, the music in RWBY can be considered its own character, and it's key to understanding plot lines and character development on a whole other level. So, with all of this information, what exactly am I getting to? The point I'm trying to make is that these stories, the folklore, the fairy tales, all of it are part of this show and at the core of it. The way the writers are able to stretch and mold these stories into something completely unique and new while still being able to call back the original stories is such a genius idea. Not only do the characters make these references, but whole seasons, or volumes in this case, are able to use fairy tales as outlines for the episodes. In the most recent volume of RWBY, they decided to go all out. Alice in Wonderland. The entire volume takes place in a messed up version of Wonderland that is sort of after the events of Alice, or in the context of RWBY, Alex. This volume, though, is a bit of a weird one. They decided to have the story isolated from the events happening in-universe. When Team RWBY falls into the void, everyone believed that they were dead, when in reality, they woke up in a place called the Ever After. This is by far the most visually ambitious season. Not only are the characters based on Alice in Wonderland, but the entire look of the season has this sort of surrealist art vibe to it that helps inspire the look of the Ever After. Everything about this volume is able to stand out on its own, even the episode titles, which all use alliteration to help it stand out even more. From Rude, Red, and Royal to A Cat Most Curious and even Confessions with Cumulonimbus Clouds, everything fits perfectly. It's still Wonderland, but it's still RWBY. It's able to stand on its own and self-identify without needing to rely on nostalgia from the original fairy tales. Not to mention, with the growth in RWBY's popularity, the show's been able to receive its own adaptations. adaptations within adaptations. From comics to merchandise, a 2D reimagining of the first 2 volumes, a crossover with the DC Justice League, and even a background appearance in the movie Ready Player One. RWBY continues to show how flexible it is with its unique process of adaptation, and how it uses these adaptations to its advantage. And with all of that, I leave you with one question. What's your favorite fairy tale?